All right, hello. So today we're going to be talking about how to add color to your mandalas. So last time I talked to you about independent work, I asked you to create four different ideas for your mandala. Choose the one that you like the best and trace it onto your square piece of paper so that you get a design like this. So I just want to clarify one more time that this design is half with the small pie piece and half with the large pie piece for the purposes of showing you what the difference is, right? Yours should all be done with the same size and the same pattern. Mine is half and half so that I can show you the difference between using a larger piece and using a smaller piece for your design. Now, that being said, let's talk color. So a while ago, and I know it's been a little bit of time, we completed a color scheme practice worksheet. Now, on that worksheet, we designed, I think it was five together and then one on your own of color schemes, right? So these are the five color schemes that we all designed together. We talked about monochromatic, complementary, analogous, split complementary, and triadic. Now, the reason why we did this worksheet was for practice to decide what kind of colors we like and what kind of colors we want to use on our mandala. So I've decided that I really enjoy the analogous color scheme and the split complementary color scheme. So I'm going to do the analogous color scheme for my small side, and I'm going to do my split complementary color scheme for my large side. So, what I think I would recommend is testing your colors before you get started. So, one thing that students really enjoy doing is just jumping right into things. But I think we need to slow down a little bit so that, first of all, we have a plan, and second of all, we test our colors before we put them on the final product. So, you can see over here that I've made two different lists, right? Because I have two different sides. You're just going to need to do one, right? So for my small side, I said I wanted to do analogous, and I'm going to do red, red, orange, orange, and yellow, orange. So I'm going to test a light version and a dark version of all of those colors on this paper. I would do the same thing for what I want to do on this side, which would be split complementary. So yellow, red, violet, and blue, violet. I'm going to be doing those three colors for the other side of my mandala. So again, I would test those down here. So, just as a reminder, we are going to be doing a light version and a dark version of our colors to try to get an optical illusion where it looks like one part of our mandala is in the shade and one part of our mandala is in the light. So it kind of looks like a corner. It looks like it's going up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down in kind of an optical illusion. So in order to make sure that happens, I need to make sure I have a light version and a dark version of the colored pencils that I want to use on my different pie pieces, right? So the light version is probably going to be relatively easy for you guys. I would not recommend using the white colored pencil because really all that's going to do is make your color more of a pastel instead of being a really vibrant color. So instead of using a white colored pencil, you're just going to let the white of the paper show through a little bit to make that color a little bit lighter. So I will show you what I mean by that with my next color I'm going to test down here. So this was my red orange. My next color I'm going to test is going to be regular orange. So I'm going to get out all of the oranges and yellows that I could possibly want to use. So I'm just going to kind of get in front of me the colors that I'm thinking about using. And I want to start with a base that will be just regular orange. So if I just go with my regular orange color, I can make a really light base here. And again, I'm not going to use that white colored pencil. I'm just going to very lightly shade with this orange, and then you can see it looks really light. I'll zoom in for you. Looks really light here because the white of the paper is showing through, which is perfect, right? However, I'm going to do some more layers. So I'm just going to put a little mark down here to let myself know, hey, I did regular orange first, right? And then what are the two colors that make orange, right? If we look on our color wheel, the two colors that make orange are red and yellow, because those are the two colors that are next to orange on the color wheel, right? So I'm going to use yellow and red in my next couple of layers. So I'm going to do, again, a really light version of this yellow. Make a little mark so that I know what color I use next. And then go with my regular red on top of that. And then once again, I can go with my regular orange. So why did I do all of those layers inside of my orange? Well, it makes a much more rich color, right? This orange that I created here looks a lot more exciting, looks a lot more vibrant, looks like it has more going on than if I just did one layer, right? This one layer doesn't look as good as all of these layers combined. So that's my light version. Again, all of my layers that I created are really light. So the white of this paper is showing through, which means that it's a light version of what I got going on. And now I want to make a darker version. So in order to make a darker version, I am going to need to take a look at my color wheel. So I've got my color wheel here. Remember, we're just working with orange. Now, if you wanted to make a color darker, of course, black and gray colored pencils do exist for a reason that will make it darker, but it's not going to make it a very rich or vibrant color. So instead of doing just black or just gray to make the color darker, I'm going to look across my color wheel and find out what the complementary color is. So the opposite of orange on the color wheel is blue. So in my layers of what I'm going to be creating here for my dark version of that color, I'm going to make sure to incorporate blue so that that orange will get darker, but also be a more vibrant and interesting looking color. All right, so I'm gonna start with a light gray. So I'm gonna start with my gray, do a very, very light version of this. What I'm trying to do is make it where the starting point is not white, right? If the starting point is white, then it's gonna be a lighter color like this one was. So I'm trying to make this starting point be not white. All right, so there's a nice light gray. So then the next color I'm going to use is going to be that regular orange again, but I don't want to forget to make my little marks so I know what order I went in. So here's my regular orange. You can already see it's a little bit darker, but it's still pretty bright, right? So now my next layer, I'm going to actually go in with blue. So I'm going to do a light, this is a regular blue, but I'm going to do a light application. So I'm just going to very lightly apply this blue. And you're going to see immediately that it's still kind of orange because it's underneath there, but it gets not as bright. Right? So there's my blue layer. And now I can do the same layers I did here. So I'm going to again go with yellow, but I'm forgetting to mark my colors. So there was the orange that I did, and then I did blue next. So now let's go with yellow again. So again, we need to slow down We need to think about doing multiple layers so that our color will come out in an interesting, vibrant way. So I'm trying to mix these colors on the page here. And then the very last one is going to be orange again. So you can see now that this just looks like a darker version of this, right? I have mostly the same colors. I just layered a gray and a blue inside of there to make it a little bit darker. Now, if I want it to be even darker than this, I could go in with my black colored pencil, but I want to be really, really careful to make it a really light application. So that way you can still see all of those other colors underneath there. Right? So I'm not pushing very hard at all. I'm holding my pencil all the way at the end, and I'm trying to just do super, super light application, just like that, right? So now I have a light and dark version of orange that I'm going to be using on my mandala. So again, the reason why we do these practice swatches is so that we can keep track of the order that we created that color with. So that way when I make this color on my design, so when I make that color on this design, I'll be able to know, okay, if I want to make this triangle the dark orange, these are the order that I need to follow in order to make that color, right? So then I would just go ahead and do that there. What you also want to do, so that way you can make sure to not accidentally put the colors in the wrong place, you want to label your mandala here, right? So if I did this one light, then this one's going to be dark, this one's going to be light, this one's going to be dark, light, dark, light, dark. So that way I'll know that it's going to alternate. So I'll have a light version of my colors here, and I'm going to follow that same pattern and make a dark version of the colors here. So let's say I wanted to make like the background red, then it would be the light version of the red here, and then the dark version of the red here. And I would continue that pattern on all of my spaces. So you can kind of see how this might take a lot of time. First of all, because we have so many layers of colors that we want to do. And second of all, because we're going to need to fill in each of these little triangles that we traced, right? Which is why I told you to do whatever you were comfortable with as far as the size of your triangles and how intricate your design is. So now I just gotta add these colors over here. So I'm gonna start adding colors and I will post another video soon to show you that example. So let's first decide what color we're going to use, test those colors so that you know what you're gonna be doing on the final version. And then if you feel comfortable with that, you can begin adding your color. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.